All right, everyone. Donald Trump has abandoned his brief flirtation with anti-Second Amendment rhetoric, which is good. This is a very good thing. Now he's defaulting to the NRA position, which is, hey, arm the teachers. Now, I don't agree with that either. In full disclosure here, I've never been a fan of that concept. It's like, it's not going to work. Because there's no guarantee the teacher's a good shot. They themselves might become the next shooter. You know, they might decide, oh, well, little Jimmy's really getting on my nerves today. I didn't have my brandy last night, so, fuck this. Boom, and they just blow their head off in front of the class. They open fire, then they kill Jimmy, and they get such a blood rush, they just start killing everyone else. It'd be potentially a bigger problem. I think that it would be better to just have a few more school resource officers. Afford an extra officer for the school. Instead of having one dude, you have two. Hopefully that solves the problem. You got a better chance of stopping the school shooter before they've shot a bunch of people. Wonderful idea. I don't think that bring your gun to school day is a good idea. Although, you listen, people like older boomers, they'll tell you, oh yeah, when we went to school in their small town community, we brought our hunting rifles to school and stuff. Because, after school we were going hunting or something. And it wasn't a problem. You just shove it in your locker. And nobody had a fucking problem with it. A pellet gun and slingshot. It's like Dennis the Menace style stuff. We can't do that anymore, sadly, because we have shitty federalized education. Which, by the way, is one of the actual problems. So the biggest problems in school, when we're talking about that type of crime, which thankfully is still very rare. It's very rare for that to happen. That sort of atrocity is rare enough that it gets on the news for weeks at a time. I think it's a good thing that we can bring attention to it. It's also good that it's rare. It's good that it's not a common occurrence in the United States or anywhere else. It's common in Venezuela. It's common in Uganda. It's common in some zone in Syria. It's not common here, thank goodness. Here's what we need to do. Number one, we need to rip apart the teachers' union's ability to shield teachers who are shitty. Teachers involved in what could be construed as, a laissez-faire attitude towards a student getting harassed constantly, or they themselves have, been threatening or been insulting students. Fire them. Get rid of them. One of the biggest problems, what do all of these shooters have in common? One of two things. They're either on antipsychotics, like 99% of the time. I wonder why. Mental health system's broken. Yeah, we just give people pills instead of caring about them. I think we isolated one of the main problems of mass shootings. The other thing, they get bullied. They've been bullied. Not an exoneration, of course. Being harassed is not a reason to flip out and kill a bunch of innocent people, but you can kind of understand why they'd want to kill the bully. They're like, hey, teacher, I'm getting harassed every fucking day for 3 years at a time by this same person. Nothing's done. If that were done by an adult towards another individual, it would be criminal harassment. That person would be in prison for some time. Making criminal threats. It's incredible threats. It's a problem. Hey, I'm going to punch you after class becomes, it's on the borderline. I understand that they're minors. There's some discretion involved. You get a bunch of kids together. Yeah, they're going to occasionally hit each other and stuff. Okay, understood. That's bullying. Bad behavior, but it's bullying. It shouldn't be illegal. But systemic harassment, some of these students have been ganged up on for years and years endlessly to the point where the idea of going to school is pure torture for them. Can you not understand how they're in elementary school, they're in middle school, and it's going to affect their mentality? Of course it's going to affect their mentality. Then something needs to be done about that. Not all this liberal bullcrap, bullying is we're going to crack down on bullying. Oh, you can't say certain things that are politically incorrect. No, that's the wrong thing to do. It's use your fucking common sense. There's a difference between someone swore, Jimmy said shit, so he needs to sit in the corner. Or little Sally said a bad word, she said a racial slur. Okay, bullying, circumstantial, situational or something. Then you've got a situation where Billy over there is known to be harassing his classmates every goddamn day. Or this particular student sits alone constantly because if they interact with anyone else, it's always a negative interaction. They're like a pariah, a leper. Okay, that might be a problem. It might be a problem with your teachers too, because your teachers don't care. Resource officers don't care. School therapist doesn't care. I think I'm seeing a pattern here. Probably mommy and daddy don't care at home too. There's the cause of a great deal of crime. Now, Trump originally said, well, we're going to raise the age to buy a gun to 21, which is unconstitutional. It's going to get thrown out in these states. It's a non-issue because it's so cut and dry. It's going to be torn apart, never have that problem again. It's cut and dry. It's so straightforward. Mental illness being added to background checks is a no-no because there's a difference. The legal term is lunatic. In some state constitutions or in federal law, you can deprive a person who is a lunatic of certain rights. You still have to be their ward of the state or their family or something. They still have basic human rights. But, I mean, you can't allow them to run around with a gun. And as far as like freedom of expression, letting them, organize a rally, okay, maybe if they're mentally capable, they might not be mentally capable of holding a rally without sitting there and jerking off on stage or something. There are certain rights that they forfeited because they're incapable of actually utilizing them. It's sort of the same reason why small children don't have the right to bear arms. Because, Jimmy's 3 years old. He's old enough to handle this AK-47. Generally isn't going to fly. That'd be a very talented 3-year-old, by the way. Okay, maybe you started them really young on training with the air rifle and, they can actually lift it. So, okay, maybe. It's at your parental discretion. But they don't have an inalienable right to do that because they're not at the age of majority. 18 is the age of majority. A person who's 18, if they have some mild mental illness, they have the right to keep and bear arms. Saying, well, they've got a history of depression, they can't own a gun, is not going to fly in a court. It's also not going to fly with any gun owner. They're going to understand. They say, I was hospital. I had a breakdown 10 years ago. Is the government coming for my guns? Now, what you're going to do is take everyone with a paranoid-related mental illness and cause them to stockpile weapons before you implement such a thing. And then they talk about like bump stocks. It's like, okay, maybe it's kind of sort of not unconstitutional, I guess, but it's like pointless. Had nothing to do with parking. That was the Las Vegas shooting that involved that. So I don't know what you're talking about. But Trump has decided to default to the NRA mode, which is arm the teachers. I remember, I think it was years ago, there was jokes about how the GOP wanted to arm the teachers, but also the clergy. And it's like, I can bring you closer to God, stuff like that. Okay. Okay, maybe you can try it. I just don't think it'll be that effective. I think you need to focus on mental health, number one. And I don't mean just doping people up. I mean actually caring about people, get them into therapy, some sort of rehab. You got to tackle the drug war and then crack down on inner city crime, which has nothing to do with an assault rifle. When's the last time that the Crips and the Bloods started shooting at each other with AR-15s? No, it's not going to do it. Then drive by and try to take a few shots with a 9mm or something, more easily concealed. It's a lot easier to do that and get away with it so that the 911's called and the boys in blue show up and hopefully they don't notice the colors that you're wearing and, give you a pat down and say, well, this weapon's illegal. No, I don't think that any additional gun control will do anything. I think it's just a step closer to dystopia because the government cannot be trusted at this point. I don't really trust the government with implementing any gun control in an intelligent manner. It's just not going to happen. But universal background checks, the most popular aspect of suggested gun control, even that would have a problem, and I'll tell you what it is. Can you imagine the problem with Farmer John, some 80-year-old dude with a shotgun? He's like, I got this here shotgun. He posted on Craigslist selling it to his next-door neighbor. He has to perform a background check or he breaks federal law? Yeah, I think that might be a little bit of a problem now, wouldn't it? It's unnecessary. It's also not, it's not going to be respected by anyone who's a criminal anyway. And say background check. Yes, you go to Crip HQ and you're like, here, I'm here for my piece. Oh, well, you got to have a background check, dude. We got to make sure that you've got a felony on your record before we can give you the 9mm. I mean, come on, it's not going to work. There are too many guns and there are too many unregistered firearms. By the way, people can mill their own web. They can make their own receivers and get their own receivers quite easily. They can 3D print certain types of weapons now. What the fuck is how the hell are you gonna enforce it? By the way, when people say, well, Australia and the UK did it, their gun buybacks and disarmament, they worked really well. Let's see, Britain and Australia, or Japan or something. What do they have in common that the United States does not share as a status? Oh, that's right, they're islands. Yeah, that is, they have no land borders to have to police. We have two very large land borders. One of them happens to be alongside a country that's completely overrun by drug cartels. Do you not think that they're going to say, why the fuck would I want to deal heroin anymore? I can deal in these AR receivers and make a lot more money. It's way, way easier. They're going to run them north of the border and give people guns who happen to be criminals. You try to disarm people, they're going to obtain guns anyway if they have, bad intent. And a lot of law-abiding people probably do the same. So they're like, oh, I'm not going to be caught with my pants down. I don't want to be part of a tyrannical experiment. I'm going to defend myself, and nobody has a right to tell me not to. Yeah, good luck. So Trump made the right decision. Belatedly, he never should have suggested some of this in the first place. The concept of suggesting, well, mental illness, we go after the bumps. Okay, that suggestion, when you say raise the age to 21, that was really the icing on the cake of a stupid proposal. I understand at this point it looks like it probably was just A/B testing, which is great. But again, in order for A/B testing to work, people have to dissent. People have to come out and tell Trump where he monitors things. He knows what's going on in social media. He probably does watch YouTube videos and stuff. I can't imagine he still watches CNN at this point. He's not going to get actual news from him. He's just going to get told that Trump turns on the TV to CNN. What does he get? Oh, Trump did this today. It was horrible. Trump is ugly. Trump is orange. That's all. Do you think he wants to sit there and hear that? Unless he's high as balls. He's like, well, marijuana is legal in D.C. I might as well try it because it's no longer a bad thing. He gets high, he's blazed out of his mind, and he sits there with a shit-eating grin on his face. His eyes are like, as red as Mars. He's watching CNN. He's laughing his ass off. And then Barron's over there disapprovingly looking at him from the corner playing with his time machine. That's about all. Peace out.